Welcome to More Than Lipstick, where we dive into real conversations that inspire growth, spark self awareness, and elevate your journey to personal and professional fulfillment. I'm your host, Nicole Lauria, and today's episode is all about the powerful little word that can change everything, the word no. In a world that often rewards overcommitment and glorifies burnout, learning to say no is more than just a skill. It's an act of self care. We're exploring how setting boundaries can protect your energy, preserve your peace, and strengthen your mental health. So, if you've ever struggled with people pleasing or felt guilty for putting yourself first, this one is for you. Welcome. My name is Nicole Lauria, and I am the CEO and founder of Parker Unlimited Consulting Group, which is the parent company of Nicole Lauria Consulting and More Than Lipstick, the podcast. This month in May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I thought it would be very important for me to have to come to you to bring this topic of discussion. Because in this current time, I think we can all agree that managing our mental health is almost a full-time job. We're feeling stressed and overwhelmed and pulled in many different directions. We're often balancing so many things that can challenge our mental health. But one of the things that I want you all to know is that you're not alone. We're all dealing with multitasking. We all have things that we have to concern ourselves with, especially here in the US under our current climate. But today, I wanted to take a few moments out and I wanted to share with you the importance of saying the word no. The word no is one of these boundaries that you can set for yourself in order to gain and have some control over your mental health. Because mental health is a spectrum, right? There are days that we have good days. There are days that we are managing and we're juggling and we think we're doing a great job. And then there are other times that we just cannot seem to get it together. And so, just like anything, the colors of the rainbow is that there is a spectrum of where we may find ourselves, not even on a given day, but also sometimes in a given moment. And so creating boundaries for yourself is very important. And utilizing the simple word no can have a powerful impact. I remember when I was working for my former employer and I was an engagement manager. And I had great desires to grow in the organization and become a director. And what I understood and what I was always told was to work hard, to say yes to those tough assignments, to demonstrate my capabilities, and I would ultimately be recognized and then promoted into a director's role. And I did just that. I found myself at a given moment managing 5 engagements. And we're not talking keynote speeches or even a multi-day workshop. I'm talking about long-term assignments where I was traveling internationally, managing multiple sites in the APAC, the EMEA, as well as the North America regions of the world. And I would have at any given moment teams operating in those locations and me alongside of them. And here I was thinking I was doing a great job. I even remember being in Australia and waking up in the middle of the night and not having a clue on where I was. Can I tell you the level of panic that I had, that it took me a few moments to truly recognize where I was? And I was told when I returned home after sharing that story that one of the tricks that I could do is before I lay down at night and close my eyes to go to sleep, to just tell myself what city and country I was in, what client I was there to meet, and what was the purpose of my meeting. So when I would wake up in the middle of the night disoriented, I could have that recall to remember where I was. But that was just only one trick. There were other important things that I had to remember, and I had to learn, quite honestly, the hard way. And that was the power of saying no. Because what I quickly learned was that the more I said yes, the more they would continue to give me. And that was becoming a detriment to me, to my health, to my mental health, and quite honestly, to my reputation. Because here I was thinking, wow, I'm saying yes, and they must see my efforts, and I will be rewarded for those efforts. But what my colleagues were saying and seeing was someone who was overwhelmed, and that they quite honestly had empathy for me with the amount of clients that I was taking, which was the complete opposite of the brand that I wanted to represent for myself. So I had to learn to say no. So what did I do? I went to my leader and we had a heart-to-heart conversation. And I told them, although I know that I can do the work for me physically and mentally, I think that I'm going to need to share the load. And so we talked about a plan on how I could get more help. And they told me at that moment that they did not realize that I was being overwhelmed and they thought that I liked taking on all of those assignments. So, as a result of that experience, I had to learn the power of using the word no. No, I'm unable to take on any additional work. Or no, I'm unable to do it at this time. But if we're able to get some additional help or some support, I would be more than happy to work with that person in order to get the assignment done. See, no is not a selfish word. No is an additional way of creating those boundaries for yourself to ensure that not only are you protecting yourself, but people are also respecting your time and your energy. And that was something that I was afraid to do until I had that experience. So for me, I had to encourage myself to work differently, to have the courage to speak up and advocate for myself. And so that's the other word that I want to share with you all today, advocacy. You have to advocate for yourself because no one else will. They'll think that you like it. They'll tag you as, yes, give it to her or give it to him. She'll do it. But in reality, what you're doing is setting yourself up to just take on more and more work. Now, you may be wondering, girl, did you ever get that director's role? And the answer is no, I didn't. But that's okay because I'm here today on my next journey and sharing my words of wisdom and pearls of insight with you. So thank you so very much for joining me today on this little talk. And I look forward to the remainder of the month as we talk about our mental health. Peace and love, and have a great day. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of More Than Lipstick. Remember, every time you say no to something that drains you, you're saying yes to something that nurtures you. Boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges to better relationships, better work, and a better you. If this conversation resonated with you, share it with a friend, leave a review, and tag us on social media to keep the dialogue going. Until next time, take care of your mind, protect your peace, and don't be afraid to say no. You're worth it.